Hey game devs, let's make this Ludus Magnus building that we're going to work on, and today we're going to work on the door wall. So we need to make modularity of the door wall. The wall is going to be made over and over again, so we're just going to make one and make it all link up together and snap together like a jigsaw puzzle or something. To do that, we go to the creation menu, we go to the shapes menu, and we go to the rectangle. Inside the rectangle, we're just going to make a rectangle, draw it out something close to where we want it to be. I'm going to kind of keep it. It doesn't really matter where I put it at this point, even if I put it below the center plane, because it's going to move once I adjust the sizes and stuff. But let's just go pretend that we don't care. Go to here and say 335 for the length, which is actually the height in this case, and then we're going to say 300 for the width. And then we're going to take our move tool and we're going to move it up to about right there. That looks good. And then we're going to take our go to our modify menu, and before I collapse this down, I want to make a copy of it so I have a door to cut a hole out of instead of making a second one. I guess I could have just made it that way, but we're not doing it that way. So I'm going to make a copy. I want you guys to get used to making copies of things, and I'm going to make a copy by moving it. I don't want to scale it because watch what happens when I scale something in Max with even a spline. All of these numbers that I just typed in for the exact size don't change, so it's kind of useless for what we need it for. So we're going to come back in here, change these numbers to 209 and 131, which is roughly the height of a door frame inside of in centimeters. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the grid so we can see better. Now I'm going to move, well, funny enough, I need the grid on. I'm going to move this over so it's about 2 centimeters out, but one thing I probably should do is center this sucker. So right now it's at negative 6.546. I'm going to just say 0 on the X, and that way it's centered. Now when I move this sucker, I can move it over. So what I usually do is just match it up to the second line right here. That just seems right. Let me see if this is bright enough for you to see. I'm not sure. I'm going to change the color real quick to something like this. Okay. And really what I want it to be is this height. I want it to kind of snap to this plane, and I can use the snap tool, but since we're using imperfect numbers and imperfect data because we don't know the exact height of doors in Rome and people were shorter, we're just going to fake it. All right, so now I have these two boxes. So I can grab them both if I want and say convert to editable spline like that. I have them the height and width I want. I'm going to grab this bottom one, and before I attach these, I need to make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to grab these verts, drag it down like that, and then I'm going to grab this sucker right here, and I'm going to attach. I guess I could attach the other one too, but that's fine. And then I need a Boolean. So I have now go to spline mode. I grab the spline like that. I click on, it probably set to union. We want subtraction, Boolean, and we click on this, and now we have our cutout. Now we have to do is extrude, right? So, extrude is inside of here. We'll go to extrude, and the height we want it to be, I just have it in here because I've done it a couple times, it's negative 61. We don't want it positive 61. I want this on the zero line, so negative 61, because I want the end of the door to be at 0, basically. So I have that all laid out. Really, I would like to cut this up some more, but at this point, it's for the exercise, I guess we don't have to. Okay, next thing we need to do is make our the terrace floor that the door is going to sit on. So we're going to come in here to, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and collapse this part down to an editable poly real quick first, because it's going to be that like everything. I'm going to go back to this. Instead of using a spline this time, I'm going to use a box. I'm going to drag it out this time like that. And obviously it's too tall. That's fine. We're looking for the floor, and I have those measurement points for you, as you can see in the homework assignment. So it's or in the document that we're working with, 610, 300, and negative 121, because we want it below the 0 line like that. Okay, so the deal is, if I look at the grid right here and I say top Z and I move this, or even I do it this way, let's say 0, so it's to the center of that, you'll see it lines up perfectly like our old numbers. If I say 0 here, it'll go center up like that. Well, I really don't want the door going back that far. In our picture, it doesn't show the door going back that far. It shows it's shallow. I mean, I know that's probably not the realistic thing. It's a model, but we're going to keep with this model's example. So I want that door, like in the picture I showed, to be something more like this. And there's a few ways we can get to that solution. The easiest one that I found working through this in my head is to make another box, and I call it a helper box. And we're going to come over here and make another box. And really, it doesn't matter if I want to put on snap. I can turn on the snap so it snaps to the vert and kind of go like that and be done with it. Really, all I need this box to be is what I'm going to use this box for, so I have exactly 183 units from the back of this door to, or from the front of this door to the back of the box or the terrace. So how do I do that? The easiest way is to grab this sucker, and I know it needs 183, so all I have to do is 183 here, 183. That's the wrong one. Oh, I didn't, that's the right one. 183, it just added the first one. And I'm gonna do this at an, 20. It doesn't really need to be that bad. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's leave it at 70 then. And then it really doesn't matter what size it is. I'm just thinking about it for height. And negative, let's say 20. So it's going underneath. So I know this is the height, the width I want this to be, and I want the center of the world to be on this door front. So the easiest solution is to first move the box to that, well, actually to first move this box to that position. Like, okay. Trick I want to show you, whenever you're moving stuff with snap, grab it and push the space bar so you snap it. It makes your life so much easier when you're trying to grab and snap things. Then you have to unsnap it when you're moving again, and then snap again when you move to the next one. So it's just a space bar, click, click. All right. Now I know that, no doubt, that this is 183 from here to here centimeters. So we're good to go. All right, so I really can just delete this because I only need one of these built, and once I have one of these fully built, I can delete I can just dupe it, but I got to make all the parts first. So next thing we're going to do is grab this sucker, and we're going to, I want this still to be the center of the world. I mean, I want this to be zeroed out. Let me see where this is. See, this one's up. I want this to be on the ground plane. For several reasons. I might end up moving it. Probably I should move it to the center here, but that's fine. We'll deal with that. So I'm just going to take this and turn it into an editable poly real quick, and then I'm going to attach this piece right here. Now, the next thing we're going to do is something you need to think forward about. So we're going to have this as a piece, and what I mean by that is these pieces are going to snap together like when I put the move tool on. I'm going to, there we go. I'm going to hold spacebar. I'm going to snap this to right there. Okay, so what I don't need, if we look at this, is that interior wall or this wall or the underside wall. All those walls are totally useless to me because they're going to be covered. They're going to be snapped together. So what I need to do real quick is get rid of the extra polygons that I won't need. So I'm going to grab that one. I'm going to grab this one for now. I'm not sure if we're going to do that. When you're grabbing these faces, make sure you turn on, the easiest way is by angle and ignore back facing, so you don't click through and grab like one of these interior faces, which I've done many times. Grab that one and this one for sure. I don't need that one. I probably don't need this one, but I'm gonna leave it there for now so you guys can see a better example. I don't need this one, and I don't need that one for the next step. All right, so now when I snap them back together, I'll show you again. If I snap them and I dupe them, I can do that. And if I want, I could even grab two of them and say this one right here, hold shift and drag it down there. And now I've got 4, so on and so on and so on, okay? And then if I wanted to, I could take this and do it again and again and again. We'll talk about the bottom side in a minute. One other thing we might do, and makes your life easy to get rid of some of this stuff. Let me redo that, I think I do, yeah. One other thing I might do real quick to make my life a little bit easier is I'm going to take this edge right here, and it depends on the game engine you're working in. If you're working in a game engine that wants it to have complete, so the shadow doesn't look at the other side. There's some games that don't look at the back facing for shadow casting. Most of them do by now, but in case they don't, just be prepared to do things like this and cap it. So when you're getting a shadowed area, it will be shown. And then in this case, you just do this. And now, and then I would just, for whatever reason, it's being stupid, but I would just snap those together, or, you know, weld those together, and I'm not able to select any verts at this point except for those verts. Oh, I know why. Inner bass facing. See, I outdid myself. So I'm gonna target weld this one to that one, and this one to that one. And then I'll go back to left real quick and just make sure everything is lined up. Real quick, you see there's a little bit of a slant right there. I'm just gonna grab them all and do Y in this case. Z. Should have been Z, but I was afraid it was gonna be wrong. Shows you what I know. Okay, that's it, and there we go. That's the first piece. We'll talk about more in a minute.